Once upon a time, there was a young girl named Sarah. She lived with her mother, Mrs. Johnson, in a small, cozy house. Sarah's biggest dream was to become a lawyer. She wanted to help people and make the world a better place. Mrs. Johnson worked very hard. She had 2 jobs. During the day, she worked at a bakery, and in the evening, she cleaned offices. Even though she worked so much, they did not have a lot of money, but their home was filled with love and laughter. They would often cook together, sing songs, and tell stories before bedtime. Sarah was a bright student. She always got top marks in her class and loved reading books about famous lawyers. Her teachers would often praise her, saying, "Sarah, you have a brilliant mind. You can achieve anything you set on your heart." This word made Sarah feel proud and hopeful. When it was time for Sarah to go to university, she was excited. She imagined herself in a big classroom, learning all about laws and how to help people. But when they looked at the university fee, Sarah and her mother were shocked. The amount was so high that it felt like trying to reach the top of a tall mountain. Mrs. Johnson tried everything she could. She worked hard, took more cleaning jobs, and even sold some of their belongings. But it wasn't enough. Sarah saw the worry in her mother's eye and felt a heavy weight in her heart. One day, while sitting under their favorite tree in the backyard, Sarah's friends, Lily and Emma, came to visit. They noticed Sarah's sad face and asked, "What is wrong, Sarah?" With a deep sigh, Sarah replied, "I don't think I can go to the university. We just don't have enough money." Lily and Emma exchanged glances. After a moment, Lily said, "There is something we've heard about. Some girls we know have been meeting wealthy men who give them money for their company. They call it the game. Maybe it could help you." Sarah was taken aback. The idea of spending time with strangers for money felt wrong. But as days went, the fear of losing her dream grew stronger. She saw her mother coming home, exhausted and with tired eye, and it broke her heart. One evening, after dinner, Sarah sat down with her mother. "Mom," she began softly, "what if there was a way for me to earn the money we need for university? But it is not a regular job." Mrs. Johnson looked at her daughter with concern. "What do you mean, dear?" Sarah hesitated, then explained what Lily and Emma had told her. Tears welled up in Mrs. Johnson's eye. "Oh, Sarah, I don't want you to do something that will make you uncomfortable or put you in danger." "I know, Mom," Sarah replied, holding her mother's hand, "but I don't see any other way. This could be our chance." After a long silence, Mrs. Johnson nodded slowly. "Just promise me you will be careful." With a heavy heart, Sarah agreed. She decided to enter the game, hoping it would be a one-time thing, just enough to pay for her fee. But as time went on, what started as a single solution became a regular part of her life. The money helped pay for university and ease their financial struggles. But deep inside, Sarah felt a growing emptiness. Even after graduating, the temptation of easy money was hard to resist. Sarah found herself trapped in a life she never wanted, constantly questioning if she ever truly had a choice. After graduating from university, Sarah felt a mix of pride and uncertainty. She had achieved her dream of becoming a lawyer, but the path she took left her with feelings of guilt and confusion. Determined to start afresh, she applied for jobs at various law firms. One sunny afternoon, While waiting for an interview, Sarah met a man named David. He had kind eyes and a warm smile. They started talking and quickly found they had many things in common. David was understanding and made Sarah laugh, something she had not done in a long time. As weeks turned into months, Sarah and David grew closer. They went on picnics, watched movies, and shared their dreams with each other. For the first time in a while, Sarah felt genuinely happy. David treated her with respect and love, qualities she deeply appreciated. One evening, while walking in the park, David turned to Sarah and said, "I know we've both had our challenges, but I believe we can face anything together. Will you marry me?" Tears filled Sarah's eyes. She loved David deeply, but was scared that her past might ruin their future. After a moment of hesitation, she nodded and whispered, "Yes." Their wedding was a simple yet beautiful ceremony. Friends and family gathered to celebrate their love. Sarah's mother, Mrs. Johnson, beamed with pride, seeing her daughter so happy. As Sarah walked down the aisle, she told herself she was leaving her past behind and stepping into a new chapter filled with hope. The first year of their marriage was like a dream. Sarah and David traveled to new places, tried new food, and filled their home with laughter. They would often cook together, play board games, and plan for their future. Sarah felt a sense of peace she had not known before. However, deep inside, Sarah couldn't shake off the lingering guilt about her past. She feared that if David ever found out, it would scatter the beautiful life they had built together. But for now, she chose to focus on the present, cherishing every moment with the man she loved. As time went on, Sarah and David's love remained strong, but a shadow loomed over Sarah's heart. She couldn't shake the guilt of her past choices and feared that David might one day discover their secret. This fear began to affect her happiness, making her anxious and distant at times. One day, while cleaning the house, David found an old photograph of Sarah with a group of people he couldn't recognize. Curious, he asked, "Who are these people, Sarah?" Sarah's heart raised. She forced a smile and replied, "Oh, just some old friends from university. We lost touch over the years." David says there was more to the story, but decided not to press further. However, the seeds of doubt had been planted. Meanwhile, Sarah's longing to start a family grew stronger. She and David decided it was time to have a child. Months passed, but Sarah did not conceive. They visited a doctor who suggested some tests. The result revealed that Sarah had complications from previous medical procedure, making it difficult for her to conceive. David was confused. "What kind of procedure?" he asked. Tears swelled up in Sarah's face. She knew she couldn't hide the truth any longer. Taking a deep breath, and she confessed about her past, the choices she made to pay for her education, and the consequences that followed. David was stunned. He felt a mix of anger, betrayal, and sadness. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked, his voice trembling. "I was scared," Sarah whispered. "I did not want to lose you." The room was filled with silence. David stood up and left the house, needing time to process everything. Sarah was devastated. She reached out to David's sister, Emily, who had always been supportive. Emily listened and offered comfort. "Give him some time," she said gently. "He loves you, but this is a lot to take in." Days turned into weeks. David returned home, but things were different. The warmth between them had faded. replaced by a cold distance. They spoke little, and when they did, it was strained and awkward. Sarah was determined to mend their relationship. She sought counseling and encouraged David to join her. Reluctantly, he agreed. Through therapy, they began to communicate openly, sharing their fears and feelings. It was a slow and painful process, but little by little, they started to rebuild trust. Sarah showed her commitment through small gestures, like cooking David's favorite meal and leaving him thoughtful notes. David, in turn, made an effort to be more present and engaged. One evening, after a particularly heartfelt conversation, David took Sarah's hand and said, "I can't promise that everything will be perfect, but I'm willing to try if you are." Tears streamed down Sarah's face as she nodded. "I am," she whispered. Together, they faced the challenges ahead, determined to be healed and move forward. As Sarah and David worked to rebuild their relationship, they faced many challenges. The pain of the past secrets and the struggle to trust again made their journey difficult. But with patience and love, they slowly began to heal. One day, Sarah received hopeful news from her doctor. After months of treatment, she was now able to try for a baby again. Excited, yet cautious, she shared the news with David. He smiled and held her hand, saying, "Let's take this step together." They began the journey to parenthood with hope in their hearts. Each day brought new emotion, joy, fear, and anticipation. They supported each other, talking openly about their feelings and dreams for the future. After several months, Sarah felt a change. A visit to the doctor confirmed the news they were expecting a baby. Tears of happiness filled their eyes as they embraced, feeling a renewed sense of hope and love. Throughout the pregnancy, Sarah and David grew closer. They attended prenatal classes, prepared the nursery, and dreamed about the life they would share with their child. The challenges they had faced seemed to strengthen their bond, making them more resilient together. Finally, the day arrived. After hours of labor, Sarah gave birth to a healthy baby girl. They named her Grace, symbolizing the grace that had guided them through their trials. Holding Grace in their arms, Sarah and David felt a profound sense of peace and fulfillment. Their home was filled with the sound of laughter and the pitter-patter of tiny feet. The journey had been tough, but it led them to a place of love and joy they had always dreamed of. As years passed, Sarah and David watched their daughter Grace grow into a joyful and curious child. Their home was filled with laughter, bedtime stories, and the pitter-patter of little feet. The challenges they had faced seemed like distant memory, overshadowed by the happiness of their family. One sunny afternoon, while they played in the park, Grace asked, "Mommy, can you tell me a story about when you were little?" Sarah smiled, pulling Grace onto her laps. She shared tales of her childhood, the games she played, and the dreams she had. As she spoke, she reflected on her journey, the struggles, the mistake, and the redemption she found through love and honesty. That evening, after tucking Grace into bed, Sarah and David sat together on the couch, watching the sunset. David took Sarah's hand and said, "We've come a long way, haven't we?" Sarah nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. "I couldn't have done it without you," she whispered. David smiled, squeezing her hand gently. "We faced our shadows and found the light together. No matter what the future holds, we face it as a family." As the stars began to twinkle above, Sarah rested her head on David's shoulder, feeling a profound sense of peace. Their journey has been filled with trials and tribulation, but it led them to a place of love, trust, and new beginnings. And so, with hearts full of hope, they looked forward to the adventure that awaited them, knowing that they could overcome anything.